So this is a Sunday evening, and before people start giving out, I know a lot of people give out, you're walking on a Sunday, including my mother and my wife. But today I'm going to make a wee bit of an exception because I have to mix these tanks. Tomorrow's a bank holiday Monday here in Ireland, and I plan, because there's no school runs to be done, start really early in the morning and get a lot of slurry moved from these two tanks here, which are full to the very, very top of the slats, and get it moved over to the other farm, to the tank which is pretty much only a quarter full in the other tank. We want to get it filled up because we use that tank to pipe then around all of our silage fields. I can't go out of the cab at the moment because I forgot my mic. It's down in the house, place for it. But I want to show you a few things that I've been doing, and one of which is I'm after taking the calves out of that house there, which is linked to the slatted shed, and I put them in the calving pen. Moved our cows out. All of our cows are up there in the yard, both sides. The reason why I take the cattle out, if you're not from the farming background, or even if you are, we take them out because of slurry gas. The biggest danger is the cattle would collapse, and then what follows that, and what happens in an awful lot of farms, is that a farmer will see an animal collapse in a shed and will run in thinking they have time to open the door and get the animal out before the animal dies, with suffocating with the slurry gases, and that's what causes a lot of the accidents on the farm. So I just take them out, I open the doors, I never leave an animal in the shed. And this wee corner here, where you might think calves might be alright, for the sake of it, it took me 5 minutes to put them in the calving pen. I'm not trying to be a do-gooder or a perfect person, because I'm far from it. I make horrid bad decisions and horrid mistakes, but I try to be a little bit better, and by doing these simple little things here, you're taking an awful lot of risk away. So that is the tanks all agitated. What an evening. Look at that blue sky. But anyway, in the background there, we have this tanker agitator hooked off. The tanker's hooked on. I've got my school bag of camera stuff with me. We're going to do my evening's work now, and tomorrow morning we're going to start bright and early moving some slurry. It is Monday, bank holiday Monday, the 3rd of February, and it's just gone here almost 10 o'clock in the morning, so we got our jobs done kind of earliest this morning. The girls there, because there's obviously no school or bank holiday, so that worked out really well for me, because they are doing the few jobs, last few jobs in the yard, and just allows me to get started here early. The plan is to get at least 15 to 20 load moved today. If we get 15, I'll be very, very happy. So it's now 3:30 in the day, and I didn't film any of that drawing over a slurry. It's not the most exciting thing, moving slurry from one tank to the other. I'm sure you're sick of watching slurry videos on YouTube, so we'll skip that one. But what I'm at here at the minute is I'm kind of multitasking here, because there's another cow here and she's trying to calve up against the wall, as they do. And how is she on? Yeah, our head's coming. Rory, leave you alone, let you do your thing. On the slurry front, we have about 4 feet taken off that tank there, and we have about the same taken off this tank. This tank's slightly bigger than that other one, because this one goes underneath the cubicles. Be right, it's the way both of them should have been, but I think it was cost saving the time my dad was doing it. But if we could have afforded it, I'd love to see the tank under the whole thing, passageway and all. The more slurry storage you have, the better. There's never a downside to that. But anyway, back up here, and I've got to come in here because, Jesus, why go up? She actually pooed on top of the calf's head, and the calf's nose is in right in the middle of it, and that's not very pleasant. So we may have to just put her up and move her. Alright, what's the crack? Do you come here often? No? You're just hanging out, Asha, aren't we all? Lovely heifer calf out of a very, very good cow, so I'm glad of that. Well, I'm going to leave her there till milking time, which is only about 2.5 hours away, and she'll do her job. You can see here we have 6 collars here sitting in front of us. One of them is new. That one there I think is new. There was one just we had over from last year. I have to buy a couple of more collars this year, because I want to start putting collars on our heifers over on the other farm and buy them bit by bit and keep adding on to it. So these came off cows, 4 of which we sold, and unfortunately the one we lost at the beginning of the calving season. But they can go on the first 6 heifers that calved. We have 10 heifers calved so far. We'll have 14 when we're done. We'll be selling some cows, unselling some heifers, probably 2. We'll see how things pan out. And as we sell and we get down to the numbers we keep most years, we'll have enough collars then for them all. So, but I've my helpers here in the corner, and one of them's going to do a bit of writing work for me, and we're going to put these collars onto these heifers, and hopefully, Ruby, especially, we're talking about you, we'll be nice and quiet. Alright, so there is our first 4 up. 21, my favourite heifer. I'm trying not to put her head into the crush if I can help it. I'd like her just to have her head out. It makes it easier to put on these collars, so I'll pick any one at all. It makes no difference. Nicole's going to come up here and write down, it's a QR code and that number there. That's the number we need to write down. So when I go down to my computer, I can match this collar to this cow's tag number. There's an arrow. That arrow must be facing up towards the animal's head. Oh, no, my lovely lady. You're a fierce, nice lassie. Put together. I think we have them on, right? It makes no difference. That goes on there like that. And the reason why we twist it is that we can turn it now, and the tail end of the collar is tucked in. It's not hanging on the top. It's underneath the strap. So that there is way too loose at the minute. What do you think, Nicole?
Yeah, fine.
Is that? I think that's alright. Come on. Here you can see Ruby does not like having it on. No, not one bit. And the 18 doesn't pass one bit of remarks. So they're all fitted out in the new Gucci bling. So I'm going to put it down to the computer now tonight. Nicole is just taking it all down there on paperwork. You can do it on the phone, right? Like doing it on the bigger screen. But it's good to get them on now because they'll get time now to build a profile on them heifers. So we'll get used to their habits. And it'll be more active then by the time it comes to breeding season. So a lot of you do ask, how do we keep up with jobs when we're doing YouTube and stuff, and a lot of people can understand it does take an awful lot of time. There is a kind of a simple answer. You get into a kind of a routine of knowing what you can and can't do. And for instance, this morning we took a few hours off. We didn't have the camera with us at all. And me and the girls, Saturday morning, we teared into a heap of stuff, and the kind of things we were doing were, for instance, these calves here. We put a calf down with these ones, put a jacket on it, and we debud it, which is basically removing the little stub of horn on their head so no horns will grow at a later date. Apart from 4 heifers, we put all of these dry cows here that are still left to calve up in that crush, and we fluke and wormed all of those. And just little jobs like that where it mightn't seem that interesting on the camera, we just plough ahead there. We put the camera down for a while when the whole lot of us is here, and we can get through an awful lot of work in a short space of time, because we started that at about 10:15 this morning and we're finished about 11:30. We had it all done. And now we have the collars on. It's just gone 12 o'clock, so that's a good bit of work to get done in the morning, and important jobs to get done. So that's how we do it. We just don't record every single thing we're doing. We take breaks where we can put the head down, get that work done, and then we have more time when it does come to filming. Alright, what's the best way to start a Monday morning? That's the best way to start a Monday morning. The cover has come down here on the pit. It's my own fault. So last night was a Sunday evening, and I had to put in silage to the cows, and I didn't want to have to put the cover back because it was Sunday evening late. So I decided I took in right tight. Well, that's all the way I was there, if you can see this side. I was right tight up underneath the cover, and I said it'd be grand in the morning. I'll pull it back then in the morning, get at least have the silage in. I don't want to start stripping back a pit. But of course it rained last night. I didn't think it was going to rain, and all the water got behind the cover, and it pooled behind it and pushed the cover down. So yeah, now we have to deal with this. Alright, so now that we're on top of the pit, I don't know if it's interfering the wind with the camera, but I can tell you one thing. That is a vicious wind that's coming behind you. I'm going to look at this net and try to split up, find the division in it, and throw it down the face of the pit to make everything lighter and easier for me. So yeah, let's get after it. Right, that's our net all thrown down the corner. What we'll do with that net probably at the weekend, and the girls is here, we'll pull it out to the field behind, we'll open it out, shake off all the loose dirt of it, and just fold it up then, tie it, put it on a pallet, and that'll be it ready for cover next year. This year, not next year. Have to stop saying that. This year, new year. So now that we have the front bucket on here, I'm gonna come underneath this. I'm not too worried if I put a hole in it because I'm not using this on the cover next year again. this year. I'm going to put it over the walls instead, so a couple of little small holes, not going to make a massive difference. Alright, so the dam is about to burst. Here it comes. But believe it or not, there's an awful lot of weight in water. And there's no way you're going to pull that back up in the cover. So there we go, that's the water going now. Once we get release of that, it'll not be a big deal then, it'll be much later. We'll fit to throw it up easily. Alright, so that's that problem sorted, and the cover is now back. Now I know when I'm up here a few people will ask, Adrian, what's your silage situation like? Well, you can work it out there for yourself. What I normally do is count the rails. Do you see a line going up there? Well, that's where the opening of our cover was. See the dark spot where it was exposed? So that line there is the opening. So 1, 2, 3, 4 rails, you may say, 4 1/4 rails. What we've left is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can work that one out for yourself. Today is the 10th of February, yeah, I think it is. So should have plenty of silage, shouldn't be an issue with silage. And the silage itself is quite good, it's feeding the cows well. They're eating a lot of it, which I don't mind, but they're producing a lot of milk from it, and that's the most important thing. And no, I didn't test it, I never got round to testing it yet. Maybe I'll take a little sample of it now shortly and test it and see what it's like. Just never got round to it. Anyway, you probably can't hear me, there's no mic with me, but that's that job finished. I'm going to go off now. It's just gone 10 past 10 in the morning, and I'm going to go look my cattle in the other farms. I always do around this time every morning, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to tackle into this job here, which is a post that's decided to lay down like a lot of them, but it's a very important one because it feeds all of the electric fence power to the rest of the farm. It all comes up here out of the ground from the electric fencer, and that there is just a, well, it's just a post. It's not even an ESB pole or anything like that. It's an ordinary strainer. It was no good for that job. It just rotted off at the base, so we have to sort that out. A nice wee hole dug around it here. As you can see, yeah, we like to bury our stuff deep here in Cavan. I'm thinking of doing now is I don't want to dig that hole too wide. I don't go on any wider because remember I have to put another post in here and it'll take a mountain of stuff to fill that hole. So I'm thinking of getting the Kango in, the larger Kango, and just coming across it and trying to actually split it in two. And that might solve our problem because that is still solid wedged in there. And I know I'm going to have to go down another 6 inches nearly to get that out. So I think I'm just going to try to break it up where it is. I originally thought I would start this job at 11:30 and I would have this out at 12 o'clock, 12:30 max. But here we are, 3 o'clock in the day. Now, granted, we had a cow calved and I went for lunch in the middle of it, but still, I'm a good 2 hours at this. Even now I've dug around it, I've took a lot of stuff around the inside of it here. It's still deeper than that, I know it is, but I'm going to put a chain around it now because it's getting on a bit in the evening and I have other work to do and I want to get this out, at least get it out today. So I'm going to put a chain around it, I'm going to tie it to the back weight of the tractor, and behold, it might come. We're not going to put much pressure on it. I'll know instantly when I put the pull on it if it's going to be a hard tooth to get out or not. So yeah, let's try that anyway. Put a wee groove around the back of it. It should allow the chain to kind of latch in. Right, okay. I took a bit of a pull, but there, it's out. Went down the right depth. Still, even when we were dug around it, but it's out. Alright, so this is a telephone or an ESB pole, power line company pole. It's a long time here, so it is. These poles are miles ahead of what came out. So we have some like these that have been in maybe 30 years on the farm and they've never rotted. And I know people might say you shouldn't put concrete around wood. You're correct, you're 100% right, but I've seen some of these that are in that length of time and there's no rot around the concrete at all, as long as you put a nice slope away at the very top of your concrete so the water isn't laying around the base of the post. This one is quite long, it's 8 foot, and that allows me to go down a little bit deeper here because this is quite a wide open hole. I'll fill it with little bits of concrete blocks and stuff that I have here. I'm going to smash up and throw into it just to kind of make a side around it, if you get me. But this post is so long, it's allowing me to dig it a bit deeper, and that's good because I can dig it down the right diameter, go down probably another 6 inches, and that's going to give it a great footholding. So just putting a gate up against it here to see what way it sits, and the gate has to go much higher than that, but you can see there it's going to latch into that post nicely, and it's just the perfect distance. I don't want it sticking out too far because you can adjust the bies that I'm putting into this, but I find when you leave them out too far they're just begging to catch a tyre of a tractor, so we're going to try to keep it as tight to the post as we can. So I think that there is just about right. I just put in one piece of timber there. I can adjust it any way I want just by moving it up. That'll hold that post from moving. It can move from side to side, but the more cement I get in around it and a few bits of blocks and things, it'll start to hold itself. I did make one mistake. I mixed my concrete too wet. It'll all set, it'll be all dead on, but it'll just take longer to set. Let's plough into this, get it in the ground, get this job done. There's brand new bubbles in these, so should be bang on pretty much. Yep. Right this way. Off, I'd say. Off just a touch. I'm just gonna go a wee bit this way. There. My father always couldn't help but write his name and every bit of cement we put in, so we better keep that tradition alive. So I only have 2 bottoms, so it's not a big deal. Just going to cut this washer off here and do the same job. Alright, so we also took his top off, and it looks a hell of a lot better with his top off. Something I've never been fit to say. You can see there's no rot in that post. It's a damn good post. But the wet will go in here. And you can see the way the treatment, that's how far the treatment come in. Now if you could get treated posts that were treated in that much, you'd be flying. But one thing I want to do is I want to seal the top of this. I don't want the water now penetrating in here, because this part here will rot. And then you'll get a hole right down through the centre of it. So that's easy to fix. Get a bit of old Tech 7 or something like it. And then a lovely lump of an air lick bucket or a piece of lead, whatever it is you have. A couple of Tech screws with rubber washers on them. So that's the way we leave it there. No water can get in at the top. We leave it hanging over a little bit of a lip, just to let the water run off it. Just going down at an angle. Right, that's it, latched in. I'm going to leave that little hook there because I put it there, and that way Houdini can't open the gate, because she will otherwise. Use a bit of that stuff, it's just tying down straps, so we just screw it around it, because at the end of the day it is a wooden post and that can wear, so if you have a steel edge like that there, it stops it wearing any further. I actually Should have narrowed that a wee bit, but look, it's alright. Once it latches and closes, we don't have to worry about it too much. It's a lot better than putting chains around gates and tying gates closed, because that's the way that was for quite a while. But it's another little job done. I'm not going to attach the wire to it yet, because it's not in long enough. It's alright to hang the gate there as long as you're not rooting at it too much, but I just want to give it a bit more time before we start pulling wire to it. Another little job ticked off the list. There's plenty more to do. We're currently working on 3 other gates at the minute here. We're just trying to fix up as well, so that'll be all coming later on the channel. We're cleaning up this pass over here too, taking all the clay and bits and pieces that comes down off the fields of it over the last 2 years. We're just scraping it off down to a nice gravel finish. So there's plenty happening, but that's enough for the day. See you in the next one.